Well, here's video number 2. I want to thank you for all the comments, encouragement, and suggestions you did to my first videos, Vonnie's world famous cherry pies. I'm going to try to talk slowly. It's an effort for me because I can really rattle stuff off. But the good news is that I have a combined channel with Martin now, because we'll both be involved in doing some of the videos, and they're going to be centered around our house and our yard. I plan on not only cooking, but doing some dehydrating, showing you how to use my food saver to save a lot of money, gardening, the yard, birds, blah, blah, blah. Whatever comes up that we think you might be interested in. I really got a hoot out of those of you that said that you compared me to Julia Child. That was so funny. I used to watch her in the 70s on PBS, you know, back when you only had maybe 3 or 4 channels. As you've been able to tell, my approach to cooking and baking is simplicity. I'm not a fancy cook. If I look at a recipe and it has more than 5 steps, it's probably not going to happen. But having said that, this vegetable pie recipe does have quite a few steps, so get out a piece of paper and a pen. And I thanks for those who suggested doing a vegetable pie. I will do meat pies. That will be the next one. Here are the ingredients for your vegetable pie. As I transfer them to the sheet, I'm going to tell you how much I have and what I have. First of all, you'll see my pot here. That has 3½ cups of water in it and a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I use the less sodium one. Martin and I really aren't that into salt. We like pepper, but we're not that into salt, so I just use the less sodium. Then over here I'm going to put my ingredients in order so I can remember how to put them in. 2 large potatoes, all diced up. 1 1/3 cup carrots, chopped up. They're sliced. This is half of a medium head of cauliflower, or about 2 cups chopped up. This is about 1 cup of mushrooms sliced. I have 1 cup of coarsely chopped onion. And the last part of the main part of the meal is 4 cups of bok choy that's cut up. Later you're going to need another cup of onion, but this will be finely diced. Don't get this confused with your coarsely cut up onion. Yeah, they're usually about 1 large onion a piece there. And I have a 1/4 cup of flour. We're going to thicken the broth when we get there. 2 tablespoons of butter and a teaspoon of garlic. And I have an egg yolk and a tablespoon of water to use as a wash on top of the pastry. And of course, for the crust, you're going to use the world famous crust from the cherry pies. That's 2 cups flour, 1/2 cup oil, and a scant 1/2 cup of milk. And you mix the moist ones together, and then you add it to the flour. So let's get going. I'm going to start boiling this water. Okay, the water and the soy sauce is boiling. I've added the potatoes, and we're going to cook that for 2 minutes. And by the way, turn your oven on to 450 degrees. I don't know if I told you, but my mom wasn't really the teacher type, and it was just faster for her to go ahead and do all the cooking. So the first week we were married, I literally had to call her and ask her how to boil a potato. That was kind of weird. All right, I'm just about to add the carrots, and they're going to cook for 1 minute. I got to tell you, when I was getting ready for this particular recipe, I thought of a friend that I had she's now gone to be with the Lord, but when she was still alive, her daughter became one of my good friends now too. That was happy. But she went into the house one day and there was a note on the table, and it said, "If you find me dead, don't eat the chili." So she went into her mom and she said, "Mom, what's up with this note?" And her mom said, "Well, I had these tomatoes I'd canned and I didn't know how old they are, so If you find me dead, don't eat the chili. Well, my friend was a Depression era gal, and they didn't waste the squeal on a hog. So, fortunately, she was alive. Okay, now we're going to add, I'm going to turn that off. We're going to add the cauliflower, the mushrooms, yes, get in there, and the onions. These are the coarse onions, remember. Oh, great. Well, I told Martin I need to have a bloopers video already, as many mistakes as I've made. Now this is going to cook for 4 minutes. Okay, the 4 minutes are up. And boy, that went fast, didn't it? Especially if you weren't here. Okay, I'm going to add the bok choy, and you add the bok choy after you've taken it off the burner. And you let this sit for about a minute. This is going to wilt nicely. There. There we go. Now, what we're going to do next is take the vegetables out of here and put them in our casserole back there. Then I'm going to measure the liquid, because you want at least 2 cups of liquid left to make your roux. I just like to say roux. So we're going to take that out, and then we're going to measure our liquids and get on with that. For these to the casserole, just use a slotted spoon. I don't know how high I am when I do these things. There we go. We're just going to put them in here. All these goody vegetables. Now you could add some stewing meat or something you've cut up fine, and then you'd have a meat in here if that's what you'd like. That would be up to you. Guess what we're having for supper tonight? There we go. By the way, if you become a subscriber to my page, when I get 1,000 subscribers, my videos can be monetized, and Mama needs a new pair of shoes. There we go. Alrighty. Now I'm going to see this. Now, if you don't have 2 cups of liquid, then you just put in more water to make it 2 cups. I don't mind if there's more than 2 cups. I'm going to set this aside. Here we go. See what we have here. I think we've got plenty. Yes. All right, I'm going to set that aside. And now we're going to make, I don't know if technically this is a roux, but I like to think it is. You put your pan on there and let it get warmed up a bit. And turn that down, by the way. You don't need this boiling at all. Let that heat up a little. And then I'm going to add the butter. Let that heat up. Oops, lost my directions there for a second. Yeah, it's getting there. That's 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to let that melt. Let's let that get nice and melted. I really like stainless steel pots. And I like cast iron. And I do have a couple when I'm making an omelet. I like the non-stick. It makes life easier. I've never been able to quite get it to not stick in my cast iron pan. Okay, we're almost there. This is the cup of finely diced onions. And this is going to end up being kind of a gravy for the vegetables. Okay, there we go. We're going to let this go for a bit until it's golden. Okay, so I added my 1 teaspoon of garlic to the butter when it was done and on the onion. Now I've added the 1/4 cup of flour. And that takes 2 minutes to make a nice little roux. And then we're going to add this, and it should thicken up and be a nice little gravy to add to our vegetables. And you just don't want it to burn. It's the main thing. I'm going to keep doing this. You don't need to watch me do the whole thing. You know, actually, when you make a real roux, you do it so long that it turns brown. It's actually brown, and it has a nutty flavor, and it's really yummy. Okay, so I'm going to add our liquid. And this will thicken. make a nice gravy. There we go. And then the exciting part, the crust. See our vegetables here? They look so good and they smell really good. You're going to do this until it thickens. See, there we go, bubbling nicely away. All the lumps are out, but I did tell you I'm not a real polished cook. Whoops, there's one of my bloopers. So now I'm going to add this. And then you're going to stir it in. Oh, rats, I knew she'd make an appearance. Okay, now that Julia's done, this will be a nice little gravy in there. And then we get to do the really fun part, put a hat on it. Let me bring this over. Here we go. Now we see how close I came. I'm reaching right in front of you. See, isn't that nice? You can just do that. Alrighty, well I guess it came out pretty good. I just kind of tamp it down there. There we go. There, now we've got a hat. So I just tend to, I have quite a bit there. I'll fold it over under. You can do it however you want. You can just crimp it. There we go. Quite a bit. Just fold it under. You know, you're really just going to eat it anyway. It's not for viewing. By the way, check out cherry pies. Okay, so now this is like this. I'll probably just run the fork right here. I'm in your way, I know. Put a couple vents in it. And then I'm going to use my wash. Now, you do the stove 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Then you turn it down to 350 degrees for 10 minutes. This is just going to make the crust look prettier. Cook up nicer. And with the cherry pies, you put a little sugar on top, not with these. Actually, the whole thing is about the vegetables and their flavoring, except for the soy sauce. There we go. That's all set to go in the oven. 10 minutes at 400 degrees. So here we go. One vegetable pie ready to be eaten. See, it's nice and bubbly. It got nice and bubbly for me. Yeah, look at that. You get a little more of the gravy if you want to put on top. That is a vegetable pie, and it's very tasty. The soy sauce really adds a lot to it. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Vonnie's Kitchen. Pies number 2. Pies number 3 will be coming up next. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Well, I just looked at the video I made, and crikey, I'm in front of the camera so much. I'm going to work on that next time. But I did have some of the pie, and it was delish. So feel free, try that. Let me know how it turns out for you, too. Or if you add different vegetables. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.